I'm pleased that you decided to enroll in the complete online course in personal property appraising, the most up-to-date and sophisticated online course available for the personal property appraiser. This course is for would-be appraisers as well as for those experienced appraisers who have yet to take a course in the core fundamentals of appraising, which includes valuation theory, principles, methodology, practices, ethics, standards, and, of course, appraisal report writing. With the advent in the late 1980s of the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, as promulgated by the Appraisal Foundation of Washington, D.C., appraisal clientele have become more knowledgeable about the appraisal profession. Accordingly, they are becoming more sophisticated in the choices they're making when hiring the services of a professional appraiser. Today's appraiser must become well-grounded in the basic theory, principles, and methodology of appraising, as well as in the standard of USPAP, in order to best serve the public. Developed by certified appraiser and veteran course writer and instructor Dave Maloney, in association with National USPAP Course Certified Instructor Bill Novotny, this complete online course in personal property appraising covers the theory, principles, and methodology that lay the foundation for ethical, complete, reasoned, and well-communicated value conclusions and appraisal reports. While this course provides a thorough introduction to USPAP, you will benefit further by attending a personal property version of the National USPAP course, taught by a certified National USPAP course instructor such as Bill Novotny. USPAP courses, including update courses, are given on-site as well as online. Check elsewhere on this website to locate information regarding USPAP classes provided by appraisal course associates. As noted earlier, this course focuses on the core fundamentals of appraising, including valuation theory, principles, methodology, practices, ethics, standards, and report writing. This course is not intended to provide product knowledge, that is, knowledge about the type of property in which you will be specializing as an appraiser. This course does not teach about furniture, silver, jewelry, machinery and equipment, etc. Such in-depth product knowledge can only be gained through extensive personal experience, including participating in and observing the relevant marketplaces, participating in internships and courses, building a library, subscribing to specialty publications, attending seminars and conferences, etc. One should not appraise without having knowledge of the property to be appraised. The gaining of product knowledge is a lifelong learning experience and is not a focus of this course of study. This course is designed for those who wish to build a personal property appraisal business or who wish to add appraisal services as an adjunct to an ongoing related line of work or avocation. Many appraisers were first antiques dealers, jewelry store owners, auctioneers, restoration and repair specialists, estate liquidators, downsizing specialists, brokers, insurance adjusters, or collectors. They realize that their original lines of business can be enhanced when professional appraisals are added to their list of services offered to the public. We at ACA are committed to providing you with the most comprehensive yet practical courses of instruction in the field. From basic appraisal theory to the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice to sampled appraisals, this course covers it all. There is no other course of instruction that provides such a thorough grounding in the fundamentals of personal property appraising within a single course offering. I'd like to thank my partner, certified USPAP instructor Bill Novotny, for his assistance. His in-depth knowledge of USPAP and its underlying appraisal theory has contributed greatly to this course. For the balance of this introduction, we'll first tell you a bit about the course author and your instructor, certified appraiser Dave Maloney. Then we'll briefly discuss the important role played by personal property appraisers and the role that USPAP plays not only within the profession, but also in this course and in the course textbook, Appraising Personal Property, Principles and Methodology, by Dave Maloney. We'll finish this introduction with an overview of the course, including the course outline and course completion requirements, which include locally proctored exams, and a final sample appraisal assignment. David Maloney is a certified appraiser of personal property and a nationally known appraiser, author, TV and radio talk show guest, and lecturer. He is also a veteran appraisal course writer and instructor. He received his bachelor's degree from the U.S. Coast Guard Academy and his master's from the Naval Postgraduate School. He operated an antiques business for several years prior to founding Frederick Appraisal, Claims, and Estate Services in 1982. David was first certified with the International Society of Appraisers in 1995 and served in a leadership capacity with the ISA for 20 years. David was instrumental in writing ISA's core courses in appraisal theory and practices for the U.S. and Canada, courses he maintained and taught for nearly 10 years. David was also the ISA's representative to the Appraisal Foundation's Advisory Council in Washington, D.C. For his efforts, David has earned numerous ISA awards, including the coveted President's Award and the Lifetime Achievement Award. Currently, he is a certified appraiser with the Association of Online Appraisers and has over 30 years of appraisal experience. In addition to appraising, David hosted Collecting Across America, a PBS television series. And he was Chief Appraisal Officer for the PAX TV show, Treasures in Your Home, The World of Collecting. And for 14 years, he was author of Maloney's Antiques and Collectibles Resource Directory, a who's who for the world of antiques and collectibles, now available online at maloneysdirectory.com. David also served for several years as Chief Appraisal Officer for CollectingChannel.com's popular online appraisal service, Ask the Appraiser. And most recently, David wrote Appraising Personal Property, Principles and Methodology, the textbook for this course, which is the only definitive coursebook and reference guide for the personal property appraiser. For his efforts, he received the ISA's Publication Award, which is presented for the most outstanding written work involving the appraisal profession as a whole. In selecting Maloney's book, consideration was given to the degree the work enhances the appraisal profession, including the profession's growth, credibility, and image. Why is it important that appraisals be performed in an ethical and professional manner? The answer is simple: to best serve the public and to maintain the public's trust in our profession of appraising. The personal property appraiser serves an important and necessary function in today's society by providing valuations that are used for a myriad of purposes, including litigation and dispute resolution, property loss and damage claims, tax liability issues such as donation appraisals and estate settlements, acquiring insurance coverage, liquidation or sale by the owner, collateral loans, equitable division of property, and much, much more. All these appraisal functions have one thing in common: financial decisions are made by others based on the appraiser's value opinions and conclusions. Accordingly, appraisals must be accurate, ethical, and without bias, characteristics which are facilitated by the appraiser being well-grounded in the commonly accepted principles and practices of appraising and in the application of the well-established uniform standards of professional appraisal practice as promulgated by the Appraisal Foundation of Washington, D.C. And what are these standards? In brief, the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, establish ethical and performance standards for appraisers when they are performing appraisal practice services, including, but not limited to, appraisals, appraisal reviews, or real property appraisal consulting. USPAP is applicable to appraisers of all three appraisal disciplines, including real property appraisers, personal property appraisers, and those who appraise businesses and intangible assets. The purpose of USPAP is to promote and maintain a high level of public trust in appraisal practice by establishing requirements for appraisers. If properly understood and complied with, USPAP establishes a basis for credibility and helps ensure the development of a complete, unbiased, and meaningful report. There is a high level of probability that a report has been developed competently and ethically if it has been written to the standards of USPAP. For this reason, this complete online course in personal property appraising emphasizes USPAP. As noted, this course makes use of Dave Maloney's award-winning textbook, Appraising Personal Property Principles and Methodology, which itself is designed throughout with USPAP at its core. Let's review the course outline. This is only the briefest of outlines, and it really does not do this course justice. There are links elsewhere on this website to a more comprehensive course outline, which I believe you will agree is rather impressive. But for the purpose of this commentary, this brief overview will suffice. The use of specific nomenclature within the field of personal property appraising is critical to presenting as well as understanding the information contained within assignment reports provided by the appraiser. Lesson 1 covers some important terms with which you should immediately become familiar. Additional terms will be introduced throughout the course, as well as in the online course glossary. In Lesson 2, we explain the basic types of information the appraiser might be asked to provide. For instance, to develop an opinion of an item's value, or to estimate the cost to replace the item, or perhaps the appraiser may be asked to provide an opinion of present worth of future anticipated benefits. The appraiser may also be asked to provide some non-monetary opinions as well, such as the age, country of origin, or collectability of an item, or the most lucrative means to dispose of a property. Appraisers may also be asked to perform an appraisal review, which is a review of the work done by another appraiser. Appraisal reviews will be discussed in more detail in Lesson 7 when we cover the USPAP requirements that apply when performing appraisal reviews. Lesson 3 covers some core appraisal principles, including the all-important scope of work, which basically is what the appraiser did to arrive at his or her opinions, analyses, or conclusions. The associated concepts of intended use of the report and ownership rights are covered, as are the 3 approaches to value: the cost approach, the sales comparison approach, and the income approach. Lesson 4 covers some more basic principles. It focuses on specific intended uses of appraisals. A few examples of intended uses are appraisals done for insurance or moving claims purposes, tax purposes, equitable distribution, acquiring insurance coverage, or for litigation. In the discussion of federally related uses, the reader is introduced to IRS appraisal-related regulations, including requirements for what constitutes a qualified appraiser, as well as what constitutes a qualified appraisal. Several additional concepts are addressed in Lesson 5, including property characteristics that create or detract from value, depreciation, the various dates associated with an assignment, such as the date of the report and the effective date of the appraisal, fractional and contingent appraisals, hypothetical conditions which lead to a hypothetical appraisal, limiting conditions and extraordinary assumptions, identifying the property and its value-relevant characteristics by use of photographs in lieu of a personal inspection, online internet appraisal procedures, and finally, discounts to value such as blockage and fractional interest discounts. Note that Lesson 5 marks the midpoint of this course. Before continuing on to Lesson 6, the student must register for and take the written 100-question locally proctored midterm exam. Lesson 6 delves into underlying marketplace principles, such as the law of supply and demand and the principle of substitution. Issues involving property identification and authentication are also explored, as are appraisal report disclaimers and terms of use. The former helps limit the appraiser's liability. The latter stipulates limitations as to how and by whom the appraisal report can be used. Lesson 7 is a mini-course in USPAP. Having covered many of the core fundamentals during the first 6 lessons of this course, An introduction to USPAP can now be better understood. In Lesson 7, the history of appraisal standards, the appraisal foundation, and of USPAP is covered, as are USPAP's preamble, definitions, 5 rules, the 10 standards, statements on appraisal standards, advisory opinions, and frequently asked questions. Lesson 7 also explains USPAP's appraisal process, a model for solving appraisal problems. And it covers an individual's responsibility to comply with USPAP when performing as an appraiser, as opposed to when providing a service while performing outside the role of an appraiser, such as when performing as an auctioneer or as an estate liquidator. And Lesson 7 describes the differences between valuation services and appraisal practice. It also covers the 3 appraisal report options and the Appraisal Qualification Board's Personal Property Appraiser minimum qualification criteria. Note that this Lesson 7 is a thorough introduction to USPAP, its history, purpose, structure, and content. But to become even more familiar with USPAP, the student should attend the 15-hour standardized National USPAP course taught by a certified instructor. Look elsewhere on this website to learn about on-site or online USPAP course offerings provided by appraisal course associates. In Lesson 8, we discuss ethical issues that supplement the ethical requirements of USPAP, which were discussed in the preceding Lesson 7. Included in Lesson 8 are issues relating to conflicts of interest and unethical fee structures. Lesson 9 covers issues related to conducting market data research, both online as well as offline. In Lesson 10, we discuss how to describe property in a word picture, including how to describe combinations of items such as sets, pairs, and suites, or when describing large collections or accumulations. Lesson 11 addresses what elements of information must be contained in an appraisal report and what elements are optional. There are even examples of suggested wording provided for the many elements of information that must appear in an appraisal report. Complete sample appraisals are also provided in the appendices of the course book. In Lesson 12, we discuss running an appraisal business, the tools of an appraiser, developing your professional profile, and many basic appraiser techniques such as marketing, what to do while on site, making use of photographs, record keeping, and expert witness testimony. In Lesson 13, we address the legal aspects of appraising, such as bailment, title, negligence and malpractice, fraud by a dealer appraiser, and appraiser liability to third parties. Several U.S. tax court cases are also summarized to familiarize a student with issues to which the IRS is sensitive, such as the definition of fair market value and the choice of market in which the appraiser should conduct his or her research for federally related appraisals. In the back of the course book is helpful information and examples contained in the many appendices. There is also a glossary of terms in the course book, which is duplicated on a glossary link in the online course. The course book also contains a highly detailed index to aid you in locating information. At the end of the second half of this course, the student registers for and takes a written 100-question locally proctored second exam, which will test you on the material covered in Lessons 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Note that Lessons 7, 12, and 13 are not testable. Note too that also at the end of the course, the student will submit a sampled appraisal for review and approval. When needed, dialogue with the instructor during this process has proven extremely beneficial to the student and invariably results in the student having a highly refined report writing skill. And finally, students of this course have the added benefit of being able to communicate directly with the instructor via email or phone at any time. Students can also take advantage of an online course forum on which questions and answers or suggestions and opinions can be shared with all other participants.